which is World Trade Center, which is the World Trade Center St. Louis, which we deal with just the international aspect of economic development in both the county and the city. And the World Trade Center has three umbrellas. We have people, which is the Mosaic Project. We have trade, which does a lot of like the sister cities and stuff like that. And we have FDI, foreign direct investment. But today I'm going to talk about Welcoming Week, which I shared two, so that you can look at it later. I shared two links there, which one of them is the Welcoming Week portal, which will show you a lot of events that are happening in St. Louis from the 8th to the 17th, which ends, the 17th on Sunday. So there's a lot of events happening in St. Louis. And if you know any of the events that shows that it's embracing immigrants, it's making immigrants feel safe and welcoming, please share with us, then we'll put it on the portal as well. The other link that I shared is Rido Ama, which I'll talk about in a few seconds. So Welcoming Week is an annual campaign and celebration that, Welcoming America, which we are part of, and I believe Nintendo is part of, to showcase movement of communities striving to be more welcoming to all places, as it says. It was started in 2012, so you see that a lot of cities in America does it. It helps individuals and communities to have the opportunity to program welcoming values through events and local initiatives. So the African community of Nintendo for Africa, we are way ahead of that, which is something that we love to do. For more information, you can look on the Mosaic Project, and we do this every year. We share this portal. We encourage people to host events. To be as loud as the way the day 314 is in St. Louis. One thing I was going to just mention is Little Ama is coming up. I don't know if you have heard of Little Ama. I'm just going to share my screen for a little bit. So share my screen first. So Little Ama is this 12-foot puppet you can see here. So it's coming to St. Louis. We are one of the 34 cities, which is amazing. And I'm not talking states, I'm talking cities in America, that this 12-foot puppet that has traveled all over the world is coming to St. Louis. It represented a Syrian refugee. So the whole point of the story is like people to put themselves in this little kid that is trying to find refuge around the world. So that is happening. I believe it's Sunday, October 1st. It's going to be downtown at the Arch. And we want to show people that St. Louis has different people. So please save your calendar for that and share with your family and friends. And we want this to be as loud as we can. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can email me at ambale@worldtradecenter.scl.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Annie. We are so excited and also looking to participate at the event when it happens. I think you said it's on October 1st. It's a free event. We can always show up. One thing I always emphasize when such events are happening in St. Louis, it's always good to get our community present so that our presence can be felt. And especially when we to share our culture, it's also good to be proud and share our culture. So thank you so much, Annie. We appreciate you all the great work you do and representing our community in that office, but also representing St. Louis region. With that, I would go ahead and the next part is actually introduce. Is Arinola there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Would you go ahead and introduce our speaker tonight?
Absolutely. Once again, I welcome everyone here. Thank you for joining us. I know there are several things you could be doing tonight, but you're here, so we really appreciate you. I have the distinct honor of introducing our esteemed speaker, Dr. Adetunji Toriola. I am excited, and I know that many of us would learn and be empowered from just being here today and being part of this speaker momentum series. Dr. Tunji Toriola is a professor of surgery in the Department of Surgery, Division of Public Health Sciences at Washington University School of Medicine. He is a William H. Danforth Washington University Physician Scholar. He co-leads Cancer Prevention and Control Program at Siteman Cancer Centre. And he's the co-director for the Program for Underrepresented in Medicine for Equity and Diversity, WUSM. He leads several large studies on cancer prevention. He was recognized for his achievements in breast cancer prevention with the 2022 American Association for Cancer Research for an outstanding Investigator Award for breast cancer. Dr. Tunji is passionate about mentoring, and he mentors several young immigrant professionals who are interested in medicine or just feel any direction of career path in medicine. So thank you very much, Dr. Tunji, for being here. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, and thank you so much for the invitation. I look forward to a very engaging discussion tonight.
Great. Thank you so much. I think the way we normally do this is a dialogue kind of, and what we always ask the speakers is just to share their journey since you came to United States. How has been your journey, and what are the lessons you may want to share with us? You can walk us through, Dr. Tunji. Maybe we can go back from Nigeria and text back and then bring us to the present.
I am happy to. So I trained as a physician back in Nigeria. I did my training, postgraduate training, residency training in anesthesiology. Part of my training also took place in England. And after a while, I felt I needed additional expertise and trainings after my anesthesia training. I didn't see myself putting people to sleep for the rest of my life. So I wanted to do something that would have a broader impact on a wider population. So I went to Finland for further studies and stayed back in Finland for postgraduate studies and also other opportunities. So after leaving Nigeria for a period of 7 years, I lived in 3 or 4 different countries: England, Finland, Germany, and Wales. And I think it was when I was living in Germany in 2012 that I felt, okay, I think after living in 4 countries over a period of 6-7 years, I wanted a little bit more, I wanted to stay in one place a little bit longer. So unfortunately, I was introduced to my current chief. Somebody introduced him to me, and we had a conversation and decided to recruit me to WashU. So I remember when I got the invitation to come to WashU, to see WashU and interview for a faculty position as an assistant professor. This was in 2012. All through the conversation, I thought I was going to Washington, D.C. And then I received the flight itinerary, and I saw that it was in St. Louis, Missouri. So I remember reaching out to his admin person and asking, I think there's a mistake on my flight itinerary. It shows as Missouri instead of Washington, D.C. Because of course, it was Washington University. I never really paid attention to the in St. Louis part of Washington University. So, and then she told me, no, man, you're coming to St. Louis. I was like, okay, let's see. And I got here. I had a wonderful time, and I'm glad I came to St. Louis rather than Washington, D.C. Given all that have taken place over the last 12 years and my experience here, it's been a wonderful experience settling down in St. Louis. Again, one of the things that really struck me when I came here, having lived in Europe for 7 years, was how welcoming and how friendly people in St. Louis were. when we were in Europe, I was in Europe with my family, and you don't get to know who your neighbors are. Everybody keeps to themselves. People are insular. But when we got to St. Louis, there were so many people that went out of their ways to help us to settle down. And that just felt really, really welcoming. I remember when our first month here, I was looking to buy a car. I mean, I realized that America or St. Louis was not a place you could survive without having a car. Mm-hmm. That was something you could do in Europe, but here, so within the first 1 or 2 weeks, I wanted to buy a car. And it was my next door neighbor here back in Brentwood then that took us to a dealership and helped us to negotiate the process. And the funny thing was, it wasn't until later that I had from people that, well, car dealers are not great people they're not great people. But funny enough, the car dealer that I bought my first car from, was an unbelievably nice person, to the extent that even after that purchase, we remained as friends, and we used to spend time together. So I didn't have that experience. So it was really wonderful settling that, and I'm lucky to be in an institution that is also very conscious of ensuring that you have the resources to do the work that you need to do. So in the last 10 years, I've been able to rise through the ranks from an assistant professor when I first came here to an associate professor and a full professor. And I've been entrusted with several leadership opportunities, both within the Cancer Centre, the School of Medicine, and the university as a whole. So I'm glad I'm here. It's one of the best decisions I've ever taken in my life. And that's just because I have a very enabling environment at WUSM and the city of St. Louis to make that happen for me.
Wow, I like that. That you've mentioned something very important, which touches why we are here today, about the person who sold you the car.
Right.
Because creating a welcoming city, sometimes we think is a responsibility that lies on the table of the government or the people who are in high corporate ranks that will make the St. Louis a welcoming city. But we forget that the little things that we do every day when we interact with people from different nationalities, like you mentioned, your car dealer just selling your car, he would have been enough. You bought the car, that's enough, and let you go. But remaining as a friend and connecting with him and maybe helping to disagree with the previous narratives that we've been told about the car dealership. I think it's good. It's a good lesson to learn, all of us, that especially anybody who is doing business, that we all have a big role to play to make St. Louis a welcoming city by just going extra mile, not just to the business, but make somebody comfortable. So thank you for sharing that. I'm really impressed to hear the story of you coming in, going to Washington, D.C., only to realize you're coming to St. Louis. And I think it's a common confusion a lot of people get. Even when I was here, myself, when I heard about Washington University, I never thought it actually is in St. Louis. I thought it's actually in Washington, D.C., because that's the common thing that comes in mind. But maybe, and you mentioned you came as a sister, now you have been able to rise to be a full professor. Would you maybe mind sharing how has been your journey? Was it, because the way you put it sounds very easy, but I think I'm sure it's not easy.
I do not want to give the impression that it was easy. No, it was not. It was challenging. I was coming from a very different environment. I was coming from Europe. The metrics for measuring success and the responsibilities are different. Hard work is a requisite in all places, but here, when I got here, it took me a while to really understand the system. It took me a while to really know that this is where you go to obtain certain things. For instance, I like to use the car experience again. Back in Europe, I didn't need a credit history or anything to buy a car or buy anything. But I remember when I went to buy my car, I said, well, you cannot buy a car because you've only been here for 2 weeks and you don't have any credit history. Nobody's going to give you a loan, without that. So, but luckily I was able to make it work. So that's that. But when it comes to work, no, it was not. It was not easy. It took me a while to really find my fit within the institution that I was in. But again, I had a really great division head who was able to introduce me to people that I could talk to and people that I could work with and people that I can collaborate with to take my research to the next phase. Coming anew from a totally different country, of course, I needed to make the connections and the collaborations. And of course, you need to put yourself out there for that to happen. So it took a while for that to happen. But once those connections started happening, once those collaborations started happening, things were easy, became easier. I wouldn't say easy, it became easy. And people were really willing to engage and work with you once they know that you have the capabilities and capacity to do some of the things that you're proposing to do. Again, it's important to understand the framework of the system that you work in. So, of course, it took me some time to understand the processes at WUSM, but once I was able to figure that out, I was able to use that to my advantage. Yes, it took a lot of hard work. I'm not going to say that it happened. It was miraculous. It took a lot of hard work, sleepless nights, putting yourself out there, making yourself vulnerable to even sometimes rejection, But then the most important thing is the fact that you know what you want, you have your goals really set out, and you really do all you need to do to get to your goals. There were some initial sacrifices, and that's expected. But I knew that once you were able to walk through those sacrifices, the end would justify the means. So it was not easy. It was challenging settling down, but being able to put in the hard work, having the right support, institutional support, and also societal structure and support, the initial friends and colleagues outside work that were there for us to really show us how to navigate the system and navigate the city and the process. All those made settling down easier, and I was able to focus a little bit more on work when I knew that some of the other social things and other things were taken care of.
Great. I agree. It's a hard work. I know being at that position and the obstacles that you have gone through. It's not easy, but it's also good to mention that it's doable. If you've done it, others can do it, and it's very encouraging to hear that. There's something also you mentioned about that how you came to St. Louis is because somebody you talked to and he was able to recommend you somewhere that you thought you can give it a shot, and that's how you were able to talk to somebody and come to St. Louis, which would lead to my next question. Many immigrants, and maybe through my work, I've seen that the challenges of networking and taking advantage of those real network that you make leads to now help you to understand what you were mentioning about. You're mentioning about navigating the system and connecting to the dots that you need. What would be your advice for us, and maybe sharing from your experience? How can we overcome that, and how helpful was it from your end?
I think one of the things I've learned, and I believe is applicable to everyone, is the willingness to really reach out, the willingness to put yourself out there, irrespective of how uncomfortable it may be at times, the willingness to let other people play a role in your development. I've seen that, and I've tried to also play that forward, given my own experience as well. Again, to start with, I did not know that there was an opportunity here at WUSM when I was coming here. My mentor back in Germany just told me, oh, you may want to look at this place. And that's because I'd been in Germany for about 18 months. And I knew that I wasn't going to stay there because it just wasn't such an enabling environment for foreigners if you were not a light-skinned Caucasian person. So I just told myself I wasn't going to stay in Germany for too long. So it was like, what's the next move? I was hoping about that and talked about it with my boss back in Germany and my mentor. I said, well, okay, maybe I think you're ready for the next phase of your career or of your life. I think there's an opening here. I said, well, I'm not sure. I don't see any opening available. I was like, just send your resume to this person who is my current division chief. I did, and a few days later they reached out. Can we have a conversation and see whether you're a good fit? We did, and it went really well. I said, okay, well, would like to have you here. I thought it was going to be something in the longer term. I was like, well, can you come to the US and let's talk further in about 2-3 weeks? I was like, okay, well, things were happening rapidly. But then we came, and then, of course, it went really well. But then, again, the most important thing is that it's to be able to have that network, being able to put yourself out there, and, of course, do your work, be professional, so that when people see opportunities that may be applicable to you, they really open up those opportunities for you, and they align those opportunities with you. And that's one of the things I've also found while working here as well. You cannot stay in your space and expect things to come. We need to move out. We need to get out of our comfort zone. Sometimes I understand that personality-wise, that may not be applicable to all of us, but I think we just need to overcome that. Maybe you may be an introvert. You just need to be able to overcome that, because from what I've seen, things tend to work out better when we're willing and open to reach out to other people. And again, based on some of the experiences that I've had, I remember when I first came here, one of the people that I was introduced to was Dr. Achilefu, who used to be at WashU. He is left now. He was a senior colleague, and he was able to provide some insight into some of the things that he's been able to do to be successful at WashU. Of course, I haven't seen that it was successful. The most sensible thing for me was to at least model that as much as possible, which I did. And one of the things he did was introduce me to other people who could be sources of support, both in the workplace and outside the workplace. And yes, those are very helpful. And that's one of the things I try to do now. When I see younger people coming from outside the United States, immigrants from Africa, I try to also introduce them to opportunities and also open up doors of opportunity for them, because we need to do this to be able to get other people into the system, especially when they are lost and they don't really understand how to navigate the system. It's our role as people who have stayed longer in the system to open up these doors to younger and fresher people.
Awesome. Oh yeah, that's very important because the way we have, I mean, I always say it's always good to be admit St. Louis is a good place, but we also have some challenges when it comes to racism. It's something we can't deny the fact that it exists, but there is a way that maybe we can be able to navigate, especially when we have people who understand the challenges that immigrants go through, but helping them navigate those challenges. I agree with your point where the building the network, riding on the shoulders of those who are ahead of you, it's something that I know has helped so many. I know personally, you've been a great resource to our young people. And a good example is actually Sally, who we mentored her when she was in the middle school, and now through your guidance, she is graduated. She graduated, and now she's working at WashU through the great recommendations that you've made for somebody like her and many others, maybe that we cannot mention the list. But I think, what would be your message to other immigrants professionals who has a great upper hand to help the young people who are coming in, but the same also, what is your way to reach out and ask for help?
Yes, that's a great question. One thing I'll say is, once there would always be mountains to conquer, there would always be roads to travel, but once we at least achieve something that we feel comfortable and in a place to be able to be of help to other people, no matter how little. I mean, I think it behoves on us to extend that hand, because you just never know what that word of encouragement, what that introduction would mean to somebody, and what that would help them to do. One other thing, so what I would encourage us to do, for those of us that have settled down a bit more, been here a bit longer and have been a little bit more settled in our roles, I behove us to actively reach out to the younger people and the people who are just coming in, and just let them understand that while there may be challenges when they first come in here, they should not just focus on those challenges. And if they really reach out and persevere, they're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. Because that's one thing I've seen about St. Louis and the United States in general. The United States rewards excellence. This is a place where the sky is the limit. That's just what I'm going to say. I'd like to say that if I was still in Europe, I definitely would not have the opportunities that I have here. So the opportunities here are endless, and we just have to be able to find where those opportunities are, talk to people who've been through the system, and work with them to ensure that we can get to where we want to be. So I would encourage you, if you've been here, you have the resources, you have the opportunities, and please open up channels of opportunities to the younger ones so that they would also feel very comfortable and they would also stay here. There have been a few things I wish I could have done. I mean, I've had one or two students who came in from outside from Africa, and they go through really tough times trying to settle in. Without them reaching out, it's impossible to know what they're going through. I remember once, I won't mention names, one of our professors reached out to me. She's a dean in one of the schools in California now. Said, Tunji, I just met somebody from Nigeria, and I know you're from Nigeria. They're having a really, really hard time settling here, both financially. They came in for a master's programs, highly educated, trained as doctor back in Nigeria, but they just didn't understand how to navigate the system. And I don't know whether they knew that there was help available, but eventually when this person reached out to me and told me, I reached out to them and said, well, there are resources available. There are people here that have gone through what you're going through. The important thing is to be open and let people know what you're struggling with so that they can reach out to you. So yes, a lot of people do not know there are other people willing to help. A lot of people don't know that there are resources available. So I'll encourage the younger ones that if you feel you need anything, if you're struggling through any phase of life, there are always really resourceful people around who will be happy to provide the support you need. Nintendo is doing a great job introducing immigrants to other immigrants, especially this kind of network is a really great opportunity to know people who may be in a position to provide opportunities for you. So I'll encourage the younger ones or the fresher ones to make use of these opportunities, and also encourage the ones who've been more settled here to be willing and open to make those connections happen, because we can only succeed by helping other people. In addition to people like Dr. Chilefu, who've been great sources of support when I first came here, there have been other people who've provided really encouragement to me as I navigate my own career as well. So the only thing I can do is pass this forward. So I'll encourage everyone to imbibe the same thing. We may not always be in a great place to help everyone, but at least we can refer people to opportunities that could make a huge difference to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very strong point, and I wish that it can be able to sink to every immigrant who are here in St. Louis. But like you said, we have great people who are really, really out there to help. I see Dr. Maloney in the audience. I see a couple of people that have been in our mentorship program. Whenever we reach out to them to come and talk to our young people, they never say no. When we ask them for the recommendations, they are always there to provide those recommendations, because it's who you know. I think somebody actually told me when I was doing some work in St. Louis, the who you know is very important in St. Louis, because those referrals, when you meet and you ask, do you know so-and-so, can you please introduce me to that person? It means a lot. But the only thing I always say to the young people, much as we would just ask Dr. Tunji to write a recommendation for you, we also ask that you really make an effort to know Dr. Tunji, because he doesn't want to put his name at stake, because they have to know you as a person. You have to attend these meetings. You have to connect to them in person. You have to send an email, if possible, ask for a cup of coffee. And nowadays, the technology is huge. You can use a conference. You can do a meetings on Zoom. So taking advantage of those resources is good. And there are people willing to help and hold your hand, like you mentioned. I think the other part that I wanted to ask you to connect it to that is maybe, and I'm looking at the time, I want to open it to some people in the audience, but if given a chance, what would you do differently now that you've been here since 2012? What would you do differently?
I think some of the things I would love to do differently is plugging myself into the immigrant community as much earlier than I did. When I first came here, so many things were happening, so I really didn't even know the opportunities that were available. It's great to know that an organization like Bitendo for Africa is operating. So that's one thing I would have engaged with at a much more intimate level if I'd known that when I first came. So that's one thing I would have done. I would have also loved to reach out wider to the wider network and circle that I did when I first came, because again, those circles and network matter a lot. But I'll just give on a side note, I love cricket. I used to play cricket when I was in Nigeria and in England as well. I'm an avid cricketer. But I did not know that there's a thriving cricket community in St. Louis.
Yes, there is.
3 years ago, I was so disappointed that I was learning about it after more than 8 years here, when that could have been an opportunity for me to really do what I enjoy and meet people. Of course, the fault is mine because I didn't really reach out to people that I felt could know. So, but I just found out through an email blast from one of the summer programs, actually for young people. I said, oh my God, there's cricket here. So seeking out information from the right resources and from the right sources. Again, it may be that those sources are not widely available. So that's why an organization like Bitendo for Africa would be very, very crucial and very, very important by bringing the knowledge and information about those resources and access to a wider group of people.
Great. Now, yeah, that's true. There's a big cricket people who play cricket in St. Louis, and I think St. Louis Mosaic Project has also shared that information. But you mentioned a very important point that we need to be a little bit broader in terms of the people we network with. I'm from Kenya, but I think majority of my friends are actually not from Kenya, and I really emphasize that idea of also reaching out to different people, because the small circle you have may be limited in terms of resources. But if we broaden up, which starts with our mindset, thinking that I can only connect people who speak the same language. But I think bringing the aspect of now they us as Africans, but not just African, but also the St. Louis. When we think about St. Louis, the population of St. Louis is over 1 million people. If you talk about Missouri, but say is around 6 million people. There is a lot of people you can connect, and if you have different sports that you like with, you don't have to play the same sport with people that you hang out. I mean, they're from your own country. When you play sports, that's when you realize that people have opportunities in terms of business, in terms of places you can look for jobs. So there's more than that. And I think Dr. Mudhoni will also emphasize that those sports are good, especially right now when we are struggling with the mental health. You need somewhere you can go and connect and vent out. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So I don't know, I'm going to ask you this question. I always ask for the people who actually share their stories. What is it, and you may have mentioned in your conversation, what is it that you like about St. Louis? And maybe related to that, what are the areas of opportunities that you think that St. Louis community can do better?
Yeah.
So those are two questions.
People in St. Louis are very friendly. So I like that. And people are willing and eager to be supportive once you reach out to them. The diversity here is also really, really something that encourages me to continue to stay here. The fact that you can have a multicultural society where you can really, really practice your culture without feeling that you're looking behind it to see whether you're doing something wrong or not. That's really very helpful. And also, if you have younger kids, there are just so many things to keep you busy. I was so amazed at all the opportunities that our kids could partake in without having to pay exorbitant amounts when we first came here. So those are some really great things that St. Louis has going for it. The friendly nature of the people, the multicultural nature, the diversity, and the barrage of things that you can do to keep yourself busy. And the fact that it's also a driving distance to many, many places is also, it's also something that I really love about St. Louis. One thing I think that the city can do to make St. Louis better and more welcoming for immigrants is to really devote resources to welcoming immigrants. It's possible that I may not be aware of those resources, and you, Jeffrey, and the organization may have a better insight into that. But I think when I came, I was ignorant of these resources, and making those resources front and center when people come in here, letting them know that there's an opportunity that they can tap into with other immigrants. I think really putting that out there, it's going to be really helpful because it helps people settle down faster and quicker, and helps them reach out to people much better.
I like that. That's very true. The making those resources available, it's something that I know has a great impact. We've tried to put together, like this morning, I was just putting together some resources about healthcare services for immigrants. And when I shared with it, somebody actually received a couple of text message, somebody saying back, "I'm glad you sent it because I've been looking for this thing for months, and I couldn't find where I can be able to help my mom and my dad." So when you mentioned that, it's really give me comfort to know that I know, and for people in the audience, they can agree with me. I send so many text messages, and some of them may be annoying because you don't need it, but I always say apologize because that message, you may not need it. Somebody somewhere need it, and it could be a life-changing opportunity for them. But at the moment when I'm sending those messages, I don't know who needs it. So if it comes to you, just don't delete it. Or if you want to be generous enough, share with others, because you never know who it will help. And that's the purpose of us when we're here to share that. There are people who are struggling to know about where to get their schools, to get their, like now we have great partnership with AMSO and WSU, Missouri S&T. We share those resources until it lands to somebody who will be able to take advantage of that. I think it was when we started sharing, reaching out for them, AMSO, a bridge program, one of the best programs they do for college readiness. We thought people knew about it. Until now, AMSO has actually put our organizations in their list because now they're receiving a lot of students from our community because we're giving the recommendation and they are taking advantage of those resources. I would maybe let Arinola, if she has a questions to take us there, but before I'll come back to my other questions. The last part would maybe Arinola, if you have a question from the chat, I will let you go ahead and lead from here.
Okay, we just have one comment, not so much a question, and it's from an iPhone user. He said, Dr. Tunji means what he says. As someone who just transitioned from government to academia, I seek his guidance often, and he has been a great mentor. That's not surprising because I can also add my voice to that. My son is not into medicine per se. He's actually a law student, but I know his first encounter with Dr. Tunji wowed him. He came home, oh, Mom, I met this uncle. As you know, in Nigeria, an older brothers and uncle.
Yes.
And he was really excited. He felt really motivated. He said, oh my God, he's young, he's smart. And he was really giving me all these ideas. So thank you. Thank you for empowering our young ones and really being a role model. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. I think thank you so much for those kind words. I think the message in the chat is probably from Neil, who is also a great person. I've known Neil for a long time. Is one of the people that I really believe in, and one of our leaders in the community. So Neil, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Dr. Niall also. If it's the Niall that I know, there's a Dr. Niall from Sudan. He's also one of the greatest mentors in our community and has helped a lot of our young people. So it's good to mention, appreciate some people who are doing great work and giving back to the community.
I think I have a question from Joshua, who I believe was at WashU before you went to Oklahoma. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so I have a question from him. So could I share opportunities that may be low-hanging fruits for emerging scholars and students who may want to pursue a career in research? And I'll just say probably some of the lowest hanging fruits that a lot of young students can latch into is to reach out to people that they look up to provide opportunities for them in their labs. Again, as Jeffrey said, it matters a lot who you know help you to get into places you may not be able to get into. And once you're able to get opportunities to intern, that opens up a great opportunity and window for you to get into other things. Outside the system, it's really challenging to really have a trajectory. But once you get into the system, it's much easier to see how it works, what is available, and having that experience under the belt helps to set you up to be able to have opportunities to work. So yes, I'll say just reach out to people that you look up to and you probably want to role model them, send an email. I believe a lot of people are willing to respond to these emails, and they'll, even though it takes time, they're willing to open up their time to mentor people. So just send an email, reach out, let them know what you want to do, and also seek their advice and guidance on how you can use your own experience to get to what you want.
If I may ask you, Jeffrey, earlier you mentioned that when you came, you had to literally get out of your comfort zone and, just be vulnerable. To some, it could just mean, thinking differently, staying positive, I mean, if you can help us define that so that when we go through this process, we can identify that this is me challenging myself to do more, doing something different to achieve a new result.
Yes, thanks for that. So part of that is a lot of us can feel very comfortable just staying within our comfort zone. We probably want to maintain a circle of friends as immigrants because we're comfortable within the circle. But it's nice to spread the network beyond the comfort zone, a circle that we're comfortable with. Because when we get challenged on what we know and get challenged on what we can do, and that also challenges us to reach out higher. It challenges us to know that, well, a lot of things are possible and are feasible once I open up myself to it. So yes, that's one thing. Sometimes we may be introverted, but a lot of the things that we need to do will depend on how well we work with other people. So for some of us that may not enjoy the social part of work, sometimes we just need to let go of that. You don't have to make yourself uncomfortable, but once in a while, let go, mix with other people from different perspectives, and be willing to listen and be willing to engage with them in a way that is beneficial for you, and in a way that the person you're interacting with can also learn from you as well.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Great, great. I think if somebody has a questions or a comment, I will open this opportunity for either you can chat there or you can raise up your hand or unmute yourself. If there's anyone, I don't know if Adenola, you can check if you can see anybody who is raising up their hand.
Annie. Okay, Annie has, let me just check, he just posted something. Give me a second.
Okay, and I think maybe this is my other part that I wanted to ask Dr. Tunji. I'm from Kenya, but I've interacted with great people from Nigeria, and very, I see Adenola is laughing at me because she knows what is coming. I've always wanted to be a Nigeria because I want to speak with that authority. And when you go to a meeting, you have to feel the presence of a Nigeria in that meeting. They in a very positive way. And speaking with that confidence and authority that they don't care about the accent. They just speak as it is, and they will speak. And people, we've reached a point where we really admire the accent. We really admire being a Nigerian. And they was even pronounce their last name with authority in that way. What is it that is it about being in that building that confidence? That what can we borrow? What can we learn from Nigerians? That what are we doing wrong from Kenya that we need to?
I think it's the jollof rice that we eat. Nigerian jollof rice.
Even the jollof rice now is becoming very popular in town. Everybody talks about jollof rice.
Yeah, I think jollof rice is special. There's something with jollof rice that makes you confident. I mean, on a serious note, I think it's just probably a function of Nigeria is we're a country of more than 150 million people, very many smart people. And for you to really stand out, you need to know what you're doing. So I think we're imbibed with that spirit right from when we're young. And I think a lot of Nigerians just carry that when they go to other countries as well. That's what I can think of.
I don't know, like I like that, because when you talk about 150 million and you have to survive, you really have to have a very strong will and a big resilience to be able to stand out. I think now you've answered my question, because I've always asked that question. What is it that these people from Nigeria that you really feel they're present? And I really love that confidence. I try to change my name to see if I can be able to be.
No, Jeff, we welcome you as a Nigerian anytime, any day. The things you're doing in the city are just really impressive. So we would adopt the Nigerian.
That in the question there, if I didn't want to lock out anybody, we have 3 more minutes, and then we can.
I think, Jeffrey, one of the things that I picked on in what Dr. Tunji said earlier was that when we do get those opportunities and do internship, it's important we use them well.
Yes.
Because Dr. Tunji is clearly somebody who came into this culture and, through being referred by his mentor. And of course, when those doors opened, he went in there and he gave it his best at all times. That's why we see him where he is today. And I know that for a lot of the young ones who are here listening, when those doors do open, let's take from what Dr. Tunji has said tonight and, give it your best. Give it your best so that that door would remain open for those coming behind you. So Thank you, Dr. Tunji.
Yeah, I think that's a very I agree with you, and it's also good to mention that when other young people are coming up, it's good to know that if Dr. Tunji has been able to rise up when we are still experiencing those challenges of being immigrants, being Africans, and still be able to go there. We have Dr. Yemi Akande being the president of Focus, who is being able to rise up to that rank. We have Mr. Ario Benso, the president of International Institute, still making great impact in St. Louis. We have the Emerson Diversity and Inclusion director, a native from not Ethiopia, but Eritrea. Also making great impact, not just in St. Louis, but across the globe because of her position and what she's doing right now. We have other people that I can just name in the list that are a lot of them doing great things in St. Louis, but we don't hear more about them. And the reason why is because also as immigrants, we also don't talk about them. So if I hear something like now, when I was so excited when I saw Dr. Tunji getting this nominate or getting the award of the scholar, professor scholar in Washington University last year. I was so excited to share that and blast it everywhere with people. Look at him and look at what he's doing. It inspires me. It inspires our young girls and boys who are also have great dreams to think about. They can also achieve and become whatever they want. I think if we have that a spirit of celebrating when others are celebrating other people's success, and not just celebrating with us, but also sharing it out. Because if something happens wrong, something bad happened, we are very good at sharing that. But I will always say, let's change that vibe and change that narratives and now be intentional to celebrate other people's success. And not that, like also Dr. Tunji says, if you have a position to be able to open door for somebody, even if they do better than you, I think celebrate to know that you've been part of their success. And that is enough to give that accomplishment. I mean, a sense of accomplishment that I've been part of your journey and you're doing better. Even if you're doing better than me, kudos for you. Go ahead and do it and do better than I have done. If in any community, like you said, we grow because we support each other. The spirit of Ubuntu. We are because you are. Let's live with that and let's with that with example. Is there, if there's nobody else, or I think we have, and Dr. Modoni is there? If Anial, I know you all do a great job helping our young people.
We have here.
Yeah.
We have something from Rachel said, good insight. Anne-Marie, this was very insightful. Thank you. And Rebecca said, thanks, Jeffrey. I'm now 2 months. I need a practical driving lesson so you know where I can get, so I know where I can get help. Thanks. Okay, that was a side joke.
Nah, that's good. I like, because that's what Dr. Tunji was mentioning. When you are new, we all need those connections. We all need some help. Right now, we have a lot of teachers that we are trying to help them settle. The nurses have come. They also need some help with the driving classes, the lessons. They need some little guidance on what to do and do what the do's and not and does and not that they need to know when they are settling in, so that maybe they don't have to make the same mistakes we all make or we have made in the past. And I think it is always good to have somebody, if you're available, to help. We actually right now we are looking for people who can help with the training, driving for the new people. If you have some beds and mattresses, we need that. We have people who are in need of that, and they only need help for a few months. After some times, we're going to be inviting them here as Dr. Tunji to share their success. And it's good when you're there to say that you've been part of their success. And when you hear them sharing their inspirational stories is also good. So yes, I will reach out to, was it Annie?
Yes.
Rachel, and other.
Rachel, Annie said good night.
Yeah, and any other people. If you're there and you want to help with driving, or you have something you can share with the new people, or just talking to them and just giving them some of your stories and some of the mistakes you made, you would want them to not to make those mistakes. We would definitely love that. With that, I would just go ahead and invite you again on, I think we're working on November 28th. We are inviting immigration lawyer who will be able to talk to us, for those who've been here for a long time, those who are coming in, particularly the doctors, the nurses and the teachers, to help them and have the basics information on how to be able to live within the law. And if something happens, what you need to do to avoid waiting the last minutes. So we would have somebody walk us through and share some of the basics information we all need to know about immigrants and also international students who also maybe transitioning to look for jobs, J1 visa, and other resources that are there. So I will be sharing that information again on our website. We'll be able to put that for those who are there. The other item is on September 30th. If you have a high school between the middle 9th grade to 12th grade, WUSM will be hosting our students there for a day from 9 to 2:30. We're providing transport, and then they will be able to provide also the lunch there. So if you have any students, there is a link on our website, but also maybe I'm going to put my number there. If you can reach out to me for any question or the link, I can share with you. 314. Yeah, so you can reach out to me or email. Let me just also share the email. So that if you have a questions or you have somebody who may be in need of something, we would definitely, we may not have all the answers, but we can point them to the right direction. If we don't, then there are people who can be able to help. Other than that, I say thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. Any final thoughts, Dr. Adetunji, as we close the conversation tonight?
Yeah, I'll just say, keep up the great work that you're doing in the city. It's really great organization and all. And also as African immigrants here, let's just keep helping and supporting each other. We need that. Let's keep getting more embedded in the system and the society so that we can continue to multiply our successes. Let's reach out a hand to anybody who needs it and help each other grow.
Awesome. I think that's good. That summarizes all. Let's go out, help others, and may the spirit of the Ubuntu be with us all the time. Love you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.